Hello, everybody. My name is Caitlin Lemieux, and for my strategy, I'll be presenting rubrics as a method of differentiation specifically for gifted students. So we are all familiar, I'm sure, with rubrics in some capacity, but we'll be looking today more specifically at what is a rubric for the purpose of differentiation. In general, rubrics exist to hold students accountable for specific learning standards. They demonstrate expectations and necessary accomplishments in a particular product or presentation. Differentiating rubrics allows the teacher to present different expectations based on the student. They are assessing whether the student be gifted, English language learner, general education, or SPED. And for gifted students, more specifically, again, this means rubric enrichment. So this means taking into consideration that specific student's gifts and talents and applying it to the methods we're using to assess them. Differentiating rubrics is when an instructor adapts and or changes the rubric in acknowledgement of these previously mentioned differences. So again, in the parameters of gifted education, it's considering their skill sets and considering what they're capable as a learner and assessing them accordingly. So why would we do this? What is the goal of using rubrics as a method for differentiation? This is from a ThoughtCo article. You can establish different levels of performance for general education students and for children receiving special education services. For students receiving gifted education services too, you can set those expectations based on their performance ability and what they're capable of in the classroom. Through adaptive rubrics, results provide a genuine display of educational development. They display a clear insight as to what that student has collected from the content in consideration of the data we have on them and what they're capable of again. Which leads us to our rationale. Rubrics permit the instructor to tailor the content being assessed in accordance to the completed product, the student, and the student's performance on the task. Also in consideration of the student's specific gifts and talents and applying that in the realm of the product they're presenting or their performance on a task. What is their specific skill? How do these skill sets relate to the project, and how can we assess them on this skill in a way to advance them farther in their content knowledge and their gifts and talents in general? To apply the rationale, I have this example I provided where student A, this is a 4th grade writing assignment, by the way, where student A is identified as gifted, possessing significant talents in written language. They're in 4th grade, but they've already written a collection of short stories. And student B, who has a native language of Spanish, and they've just begun developing English. How do these rubrics allow for differentiation? As we could see in that case, it becomes evident that differentiation is necessary for the assessment of students. Rubrics have the capacity to communicate an authentic score representative of the student's abilities in relevant context, as we saw with student A and student B. And then finally, 2 examples of rubrics that we can use to differentiate content is an effort versus achievement rubric. That's in consideration of gifted characteristics we all know, especially in Georgia, such as motivation, leadership, things of that nature. It's considering the effort that a student puts into an assignment and the achievement. And looking at those 2 things as different animals pretty much in how a gifted student interacts with the content. And then a collaborative rubric where a student is able to work with the teacher to demonstrate standards that they feel they should meet and standards for themselves as they complete a product or presentation. And here are my references. Thank you all so